Hi, I'm Kathy with the Delafield Quilt Company. September 17th of 22 is National Sew a Jelly Roll Day. And in honor of that special day, I wanted to share one of my latest Jelly Roll projects, and that is this quilt behind me. So this quilt was made up of the equivalent of 2 jelly rolls. So one of the jelly rolls was a pre-cut of Smoke and Rust, and I will put the information on that collection in the show notes. And the other one I actually cut myself from some Moda Grunge fabric for the grays, the blacks, and the whites. I also used some fabric for the border and some coordinating fabrics to finish off the bottom of the quilt. The overall size of this quilt ended up being about 72 inches wide by 82 inches tall. So let's get started. To make this quilt, you are going to need a few tools. You're going to want a long quilter's ruler, and it needs to be one that has that 45-degree mark on it. And it needs to be at least 5 inches in width, and also a rotary cutter. So to make the chevron part of the quilt, we're going to sew jelly roll strips in sections of 6, but we're going to do half of the 6 sections facing to the left and the other half facing to the right. And by that I mean we're going to lay out our 6 jelly roll strips, and I'm just using some scrap fabric here, so please don't judge my fabric combination choices because they're really not that great. And then we're going to stagger these so they are 2 inches from the top one. And this is the one that's going to be, the top's going to be to the left, and then it's going to slowly do a 45-degree angle heading down for the other strips. So I'm just going to line these up 2 inches from the last one. And then once I have them in order, I'm going to start sewing them together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So the reason that we stagger these out is because we're going to cut these at a 45-degree angle. By staggering them out, we maximize the use or the length of our jelly roll strips. So then when we go to cut these, after these are sewn, we're not going to do it now, you're going to see that there's just a little bit of waste on the side here. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these together, just one at a time. And I'm not going to iron them in between because I'm going to do that after I've got the whole set sewn together. Once you've got your first strip sewn together, I'm just going to finger press this just to open it up. And again, you don't need to iron these in between the strips, just save that for when you got the whole set sewn together. Then you're going to take your 3rd strip and you're going to start about 2 inches then from the top of that 2nd strip. And just laying right sides together, and again, so a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then with the rest of the strips of that set of 6, you're going to just finish by doing the same thing, 2 inches above the last strip. Okay, and once you have your set of 6 strips sewn together, then we're just going to press the seams, and we're just going to press the seams to one direction. Once that's all pressed, I'm just going to set this aside, and I'm going to work on the 2nd set of jelly roll strips. And just like we did before, we're going to sew them 2 inches from the previous strip, except this time we're going to start in the opposite direction. So instead of being long on the left side, we're going to be long on the right side. Okay, so I have these going from right down to the left and about 2 inches staggered from the previous ones. So I'm going to go ahead and just sew these together. Okay, so I got my 2nd set sewn. As you can see, it's going the other direction. And then the first set is the opposite of that. So you're going to repeat that process with the rest of your jelly rolls. Half of them are going to be going this way in sections of 6, and the other half are going to be heading towards the right in sections of 6. So once you have them sewn, you're ready to start cutting them. And this is where your long ruler is going to be very useful. So you want to find the 45-degree mark on your ruler. I have one right here, and then you're going to also see a 45-degree mark, hopefully if your ruler has similar to mine, a 45-degree mark going the opposite direction. So then your 45-degree one, you should be able to line it up with one of your jelly rolls on your strip. And I'm just going to pick this one here, and then I'm just going to scooch my ruler over as close to the edge as I can, just so I can maximize the cuts in the jelly roll strips. And then once you have this lined up, go ahead and then take your rotary cutter and just cut off the edge. Okay, once you have the first cut done, the rest is a lot easier because then you're just going to use the 5-inch mark of your ruler, and I'm going to line it up with this clean edge that I just cut. And I'm just going to cut this in 5-inch strips. And you're just going to keep cutting the whole section until you're done. And I was able to get about 5 cuts out of that set of Jelly Roll strips. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side just to show you what that other angle looks like as well. So same thing. We're going to find the 45-degree mark. And this time we're going the other way. So I've got a white line on my ruler, and I'm just going to line that up with the bottom. Get that first clean edge cut. And then again, like I did before, I'm just going to cut 5-inch strips then. So to assemble this quilt, we're going to actually sew it in columns first, and then we're going to sew the columns together. And if you want the top and bottom edge similar to how I finished the example quilt, that is just a 5-inch by 10-inch rectangle, and you're going to need one for each column depending on the size of your quilt. To get that nice clean edge on there, we're going to cut the bottom corner, and you want to make sure that your columns are going the right direction when you cut this. I'm just going to cut a 45-degree angle from this bottom corner up, and then for the other side, I'm going to cut it the opposite direction. So I'm just going to cut a few of these now. Okay, so now we're going to sew some of the pieces together, and I just want to show you quick how to do that because it's a little bit trickier. You can't just sew edge to edge because once your seam allowance comes in, it's going to end up just a little bit wonky when you unfold it. So to start, you're going to lay your top piece over, and you want about 1/4 inch from this top here. So then when your sewing needle is going to fall right here at this point, and you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam along the edge. So once you have your columns all done, you are ready to sew the top together. You just want to make sure that you're sewing them together so that you get this nice chevron pattern. So I hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and leave us a comment. Also visit us at delafieldquiltco.com. Have a great day.